Welcome back to the workshop for another rusty production. If you recall, last time I was working on fixing my anvil, this happened. Well, I've decided to give it another go, and this time I have come prepared. So now we have a nice new welder, and up until this point we've been working with 100 amps, but no more. Thanks to a little eBay auction that I won recently, we're now working with 180 amps, and this is an old school monster, which for anybody who's never used one of these before, I had to work out that it wasn't about turning this knob to turn it up, it was turning the knob to draw it out, and we're working with a thermometer of sorts. So you've got to tighten that in, and for those health conscious, be careful not to trip on this, because number one, you'll do yourself an injury, number two, you'll break your welder. So now that we're officially cooking with a bit more gas, tomorrow morning I'm going to be taking some tips from the YouTube community and doing my absolute best to get these big solid pieces of steel and actually lock them together. So it's the next day, and I'm going to try heating up this metal so we can actually do the welds. I've got some instruction, some advice from some of the other guys on the internet saying that basically just put the piece of steel in the fire here. So I will get the fire started, put the steel in it, and then the question is, how do I go moving it once it's that hot and that heavy? So I've got myself a piece of solid rebar here, which I will slide through this hole here. Luckily this comes with something that I can use, because I don't have like a big pair of like massive tongs for this sort of thing. It's like 20 kilos, this piece of steel. So I'll go through there and I'll try and move it around, including moving it back to this table with, you know, when it's hot. I'm not trying to get color, I'm not trying to make it red hot, I'm just trying to get it consistently hot all over so that I can get those welds as deep as possible. So we'll get the fire started and I'll come back. Just once again, this is not an instructional video, this is an experiment. This is not something I know how to do, and this is something I'm just trying to do. Obviously, working with that anvil there, it's an old piece of junk, so I can experiment with this sort of stuff. If it doesn't work out, well, we can always try again. But I'm about to just lift that into there, put the horn in as well. For anyone who hasn't seen, that's the state of the horn currently. I've got a nice bevel in there that I'll be able to weld into. And I don't even have a thermometer, so basically I'm just bringing it up to hot, whatever that looks like. But basically I imagine that I won't be able to hold it with the gloves, but it's not going to be coloured. So bring it up, and then we will move it onto the table, and that's when I'll do the weld. So high likelihood I'm going to burn myself today. Let's see how we go. Paulie, you're the one who's giving me this advice. Hopefully that's alright. There's actually a very hot fire under there, so that'll heat up pretty quickly, I reckon. And we're trying to get that heat right through, so I'll actually circulate it around, I'll move it around as I'm going. Yeah, that whole face, oh, geez, hot. It's hot already, so I'll see if I can just circulate the heat around the entire piece just to finish it off. See, it's starting to colour that edge. I don't know if you can see that in the sun, but it's gone a bit blue and a bit amber. So I don't think this will take long to heat up. Oh, this horn strip. Yeah, that is well and truly hot. It's starting to colour there as well. I reckon I can put that to the side. It's well and truly heated up. I can touch it, but not for too long through the gloves, so yeah, I don't want to touch it with my hands. Woo, warm. Alright, ready to weld. Alright, we're locked in at 180 amps. Jeez, it's hot, can't touch it. Alright. So you can see under there, those tacks are definitely on there much more cleanly than they have been in the past. They're not adding material to it, they're actually melting the two pieces of material together. So I've got my tacks on, it's still very hot, the steel, so I will get rid of the slag on the outside, and then we'll see about going all the way around in a couple of passes. It is really hot in here today. What are we looking at? It's like 36 degrees outside, and it just keeps getting hotter in here whenever I turn the forge on. So the metal is extremely hot, and I've made one pass, I'll show you that. Now I'm rubbish at welding, but this is probably the better versions of stuff that you've seen, but you can see that that's actually welded rather than actually just floating material on top. I'm not adding weld over the top of it, we're actually melting two things together. I can see that there. So we're going to go around with a couple of passes and bring it out to the width of that bevel, and then we'll see how it is. We might give it a few whacks with a hammer and see if it's solid. So last time when I was doing this with the 100 amps, I was having trouble really welding these two pieces together at all. Now with 180 amps, it's not just welding it, but it's actually taking chunks out. I don't know if you can see that in there. It's actually biting away at, I guess, this horn being the smaller bit of material that I'm attaching to the larger stock. So I'm moving from the larger stock up to the smaller and back again and doing this little bit of a zigzag pattern. And you can see that's the quality of the welds there, which isn't great, but certainly better than a lot of other stuff I've done. And you know, there's some inclusions there and things like that. But We'll keep going around, we'll do a couple more passes, and last time what I decided to do was actually to leave this sort of grungy look on the finish, so I think I'm going to do that too, because it looks like this horn is actually like burst out of this metal block, so I'm going to leave that there, but a couple more passes and then we'll test the strength of it. Alright, moment of truth time. Still very hot, so I should be careful with my hands. And my intention is to leave this messy, but what we're going to see is, can this handle a few whacks? Now, every time I've done this before, I've either knocked it right off or I've cracked it, so hopefully this time I won't see any marks, but I've got to go ham on this because it's now or never on this one, I reckon. I reckon that's on. Not a crack or line to be seen. I'm going to go one more pass around just to clean it up, but I'm really happy with that. I am really hot, but so impressed with the welder. The trick was actually like go up to what, full 180 amps to really have a bite, and then I had to bring it down so it wouldn't reduce metal. So I brought it down to 130 amps. Just to finish off some of the top connections. But let's have a quick look. Ugly as sin, and I absolutely love it. So this is something from Mad Max, I reckon. Sorry, get in there. There is all sorts of inclusions and all sorts of rubbish welds, but I love the actual finished look. So one more pass. I'll go all the way around one more time, and we're going to call that a day. But as you saw, I gave it some decent whaling with the hammer, and pretty much hit it as hard as I'm ever going to hit it onto this area, because it's not. I use this area for fullering. It's still very hot. Oh, ouch. This area for fullering, and I use really this for opening holes, bottle openers, things like that, and just rounding out on anything sort of like there's a cylinder. So yeah, it's coming along. Okay, so there's the final weld. I'm really happy with the result. It's still too hot to touch right now, so I won't be going and putting it on the wood block until it cools right down. I'll just leave it on this steel table until then. This doesn't have to last forever. This is not a permanent solution to my anvil needs. I am on the lookout for a permanent anvil, and ideally if this lasts me a couple of months, it's going to make me very, very happy. Plus, I really like the look. It does look like it's an exploded horn straight out of the middle of this steel. If you like watching the video, give us a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, and hit that bell for notifications so you know when a new video comes out. Ideally, we get one out every single week, at least one a week. So if you're interested in more of this trial and error and trying to learn about becoming a novice blacksmith, then that's what this channel is all about. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.